It's just no use. It's just no use. What's even the point? What's even the point of dispensing health and ammo if no one will even build me in the first place? I mean, come on, I'm worthy of being built. I can keep an entire team in the fight when it matters most. That's worth something, right? All anyone ever wants to build is that stupid show-off sentry gun. I mean, it's just what the kids want these days, I guess. They want fancy frags and immediate satisfaction. I mean, I'm no stranger to being satisfied from time to time, but this is just ridiculous. You can't just build one thing and not build another. And even the few people who do build me, they just put me right down behind their crouching butt crack and keep me all for themselves. I'm not a one-man dispenser. I gotta get out there. I want to show my talents to the world. But it's just no use. Maybe if someone out there actually cared, someone who could show the people what I mean to a successful round in TF2, then maybe then I can finally have my time in the spotlight. Dispensers are important for many different reasons, but it should be made clear right here and now that if you don't build a dispenser, you're doing a great disservice to yourself and more importantly, your team, which definitely affects yourself, so listen up. Healing in Team Fortress 2 is hard to come by. Health packs only spawn on specific parts of the map, and having a medic is not always guaranteed, especially in casual mode. Getting your health back after taking damage in this game is more easier said than done, so we then look to the third most reliable source of healing, the engineer. To get a good idea of the engineer's basic role, let's watch the introductory video for one of the game's most beloved characters, Meet the Engineer. Now, I love this video. It's a very cool way of portraying the engineer's personality. He's calm, collect, and cool, but not someone you should mess around with if he's got his sentry gun by his side. But here's my issue with Meet the Engineer, because unlike every other Meet the Team video in this series, it's not a very good way of explaining his role in the game. In Meet the Spy, you see the titular character backstabbing, sapping, shooting his revolver, and disguising. Perfect execution of showing off his personality and his role in the video game. In Meet the Medic, you see a lot of the medic's personality in the first half, with him obsessively treating his patient more like an experiment than a person. And then in the finale, you see a very apt demonstration of how his abilities work in-game, with him healing a wounded player back to full health so he can get back out there and fight. And then you see him utilizing his Uber charge to great effect after he's reached 100%, which is very important for new players to understand. Wait a minute. That's a quick fix. Hey, wait a minute, quick fix doesn't... But cut back to Meet the Engineer though. Like I said, great display of NG's character, but look at this. He literally only built a sentry gun. He built 4 sentry guns. Wait a second. Hey, you can't build more than 1 That's not possible and I'm gonna give Valve a piece of my mind. But you might be asking, why does it matter what people are learning from the Meet the Team series? Those videos are meant to be mainly entertaining, not really educational. Well, I personally think that being both entertaining and educational is the best way to teach people. Just look at my YouTube channel. I started this thing with the goal of being both entertaining and educational. And besides the fact that when you click on a class on the TF2 website, it takes you to a page with the corresponding videos embedded. If you wanted to do more research on the internet about how each class in the game works as a class, you'd be hard-pressed to find a video in the search results that isn't a Meet the Team video. Oh, okay, well, I guess everything's going according to plan on that front then, but the Meet the Engineer video is right there, and what does it teach new players about the NG's role? Build a sentry gun. That is all the engineer does. Build fucking 4 of them and then go play a guitar. But obviously that's not the NG's only role in TF2. He builds other very important buildings, and the dispenser is the one on the dissection table today. You know, maybe to get new players to actually learn what a dispenser does, I'll just name this video Meet the Dispenser. Oh, looks like somebody already used that title.
What the hell is this thing made out of? Nothing. Come on. All right, fine. I might have used a few unorthodox.
All right, I think I'm good to go, actually. So a dispenser costs 100 metal to build from scratch, and just as expected, the dispenser has 3 levels that take 200 metal to upgrade to. Each one has slightly better stats, faster dispensing of healing, ammo, and metal supply, and more health for the dispenser itself. I mean, this is stuff that you can totally just read on the TF2 wiki, so it's probably not that revolutionary to talk a whole lot more about in detail, but I'll mention that a newly built dispenser already has 25 metal rifle inside of it, which is important to consider when working out ammo costs for other planned buildings. And it's also worth noting that while it's obviously better to upgrade your dispenser, even a level 1 can be more than enough to sustain a team. A heavy can permanently be firing when near a dispenser, a pyro can always be spy checking, it can save someone from burning to death, and really 10 health per second is nothing to scoff at. Even that can be a difference between holding and losing ground. But enough about the stats, let's just go right into the most important part of dispensers: placement. Yes, the age-old prom night question, where do I put it? Well, maybe we can solve the mystery of the perfect dispenser spot by looking at a few common ones. Here we see a few dispensers on Badwater, Dust Bowl, Viaduct, and Powerhouse. Now, there are a few things all of these spots have in common, and that is they are near a choke point. Dispensers see the most action where the action is, obviously, but it shouldn't be up in the carnage, it should be just outside of it where people can retreat to it and regain their health, ammo, and composure without threat of being hit with flying bullets and explosions. And then that leads us into the second thing that all these dispenser spots have in common: they are behind cover. It's very important that while your dispenser is able to be easily accessible by your team as they fight on the front lines of battle, it's still not able to be actively attacked by any enemies who are not overextended. And most players in TF2 are on a seafood diet. When they see food, they kill it. So try and make sure your dispenser is around the closest safe corner or behind a rock where it will be harder for the enemy to see it and the injured people who are attempting to use it. And then the third thing that these dispenser spots have in common is simple: they are for the team, not just you. It's important to realize that just like the teleporter, the dispenser is a heavily team-based building. It's designed to help your team, but a lot of newer NGs tend to treat it like their very own personal doctor for when they occasionally take splash damage from behind their sentry barricade. This is the wrong way to be using dispensers.
But Uncle Dane, if people want to use my dispenser, why don't they just walk over there and use it?
Shh. Get over yourself. Look, I'm not exactly known to throw out endorsements to the turtle lifestyle, but you gotta hand it to a lot of these guys. They know how to place a sentry gun where it defends the objective. But the problem with putting the dispenser back there as well has a couple of issues. The first one being that it's usually pretty far out of the way to walk to even use the dispenser. The sentry gun is usually best behind the front line of the team so that it can easily punish overextending enemies and be a reliable option for extra damage if your teammates need to fall back. But a dispenser is the bravest building you own. It needs to be the furthest forward of the three. It needs to be with your team. If your dispenser is constantly a brisk walk away from the front, that ground will be more easily lost over time with how many teammates have to keep running away for health. It's important to move that gear up when the time is right, but it's the most important to keep that gear up when it comes to your dispenser. In fact, placing your dispenser near your other buildings is not a great idea when it comes to both your sentry gun and your teleporter, not only for the reason that I mentioned in my video about teleporter etiquette, where spies can easily telefrag innocent dispenser customers, but it's also because buildings that are clumped together die together. It's no secret by now that putting sentry guns next to each other is a recipe for disaster, but the same thing applies to your own sentry gun and dispenser. But this time you're not only putting your own buildings and life on the line, you're putting your team's life on the line here. Sentry guns often are the focus fire of any coordinated push, so most of the time you do not want to be near a sentry gun when there's a demo man loading up his stickies underneath it. But when you place a dispenser next to your sentry gun, you're putting everyone who is currently using it at risk, and chances are the people using your dispenser are going to be low health in the first place and will be the first to die secondhand to your own poor dispenser placement choices. So please, if there's anything that you can take away from this video, it's that you shouldn't hog your dispenser. You should put it where your team needs it. The more healthy your teammates are, the more safe you are from getting your wrench pushed in by one buffed soldier with a full clip and nothing to lose. But hang on, before we move on from the whole stacking buildings thing, I think there's something to be said about stacking dispensers. Because yes, the dispensing benefits do stack when you place multiple dispensers next to each other. So wouldn't it be beneficial to always pool all of your team's dispensers in one area for maximum healing? Well, maybe. It depends on the map. 2 level 3 dispensers do heal at a rate higher than even the quick fix, and it can heal multiple people at the same time, so it's quite the powerful strategy if you pull it off. But it certainly is a risk-reward situation because obviously both of these dispensers will go down with only 3 well-placed stickies. And while the phrase dispenser down, push in is more of a TF2 meme than anything, it actually can warrant calling to your team if they're using them in such an effective way. But other than putting all of your eggs in one basket being risky business, it's my personal opinion that in certain situations and on a lot lot of different maps, it could be more beneficial to actually spread the dispensers out for not only the reasons I just spoke about regarding ease of destruction, but more along the line of ease of access for your team. Maps in TF2 have health packs spread out in strategically placed areas that allow people to more easily hold certain areas and be forced to retreat in others, but dispensers are the closest that you can get to on-the-spot map editing in that you can decide where a source of healing would be beneficial to your team in that specific moment. So right away, you can probably see that spreading multiple dispensers out can be the savior for individual stories in your team's overall experience. For instance, if someone fights a pyro somewhere in the flank, and although he came out on top, he's now burning to death with no health packs in sight. Would he survive if all of the dispensers are somewhere near the main choke point, albeit healing people at an impressive rate, but still out of reach from the people holding down the side passages? Nope. He'd die before he could reach the dispenser convention. But say that the same situation is at hand, but this time an engineer has decided that the dispenser at choke is doing just fine on its own, and that his dispenser would do well near the flank route so that the brave mercenaries holding down that area can have an extra reliable source of healing without having to go too far out of the way. I think this beats dispenser stacking 9 times out of 10. But speaking of health packs, the last thing that I wanted to talk about regarding dispenser placement is that while spreading your dispenser out around the map can be pretty effective, not everyone is going to automatically know where exactly your dispenser is at least not unless you tell them every time you relocate it. Alright guys, I'm placing my dispenser at the foot of the stairs. Alright guys, I've relocated my dispenser to in the cubby. Alright guys, I'm moving my dispenser to behind the rock. So instead, I think it's always a good idea to put your dispenser near an already existing common retreat area, such as the spawn point for a health pack. Since people already know where the health is on the map, their first instinct for when they retreat will probably be to walk to where the nearest health pack is. So if you place your dispenser somewhere near it, it's more likely that someone will see it and be able to use it. Putting your dispenser near a health pack is always a great go-to for dispenser spots, since packs aren't always there, so making it so there's an option for the injured people who are just a little too late is usually going to be very helpful. Just don't put it directly on top of the health pack, because then you won't be able to pick it up. And that actually segues nicely into the very last part of this video, which is going to be all about a few little non-specific tips and tricks that you can use to make your dispenser game that much better. The first thing to mention is, of course, the collision rules for dispensers. They apply to all buildings, but since the dispenser is tall and usually able to be placed in a wider variety of spots, you can often use the dispenser as a step stool to get to higher areas more quickly. In fact, the collision rules can come in handy for more than just boosting yourself up. You can often use it to your advantage when you want to keep someone away from you. Dispenser blocking is a very common strategy that takes advantage of map design that literally prevents enemies from walking upstairs or passing smoothly through tight corridors. Even though it's pretty easy for these enemies to solve this barricade problem by just destroying it, oftentimes that is still the thing that you need to quickly be alert to their presence and defend yourself with the upper hand. But enemies aren't the only thing that dispensers collide with. Believe it or not, dispensers can actually block bullets and projectiles, including your own. This is why it's never a good idea to build a dispenser in the sightline of a sentry gun, yours or otherwise. Sentry guns can often see through dispensers and target enemies who are standing behind them, but the bullets and rocket fire will not pass through a dispenser. This can sometimes be taken advantage of by an intelligent enemy who is trying to get close without taking damage from the nearby sentry gun, so don't build your dispensers anywhere that this can easily happen. Related to that trick enemies can do with your own buildings, the exact opposite is actually possible with your own teammates. This is what is sometimes referred to as dispenser armor, crouching inside of a fellow NG's dispenser so that any damage directed at you actually hits the dispenser instead, all while you're refilling your own health, so it can surprisingly be a powerful tactic. In fact, here's a clip from Banny's Twitch stream demonstrating what that looks like.
Are you fucking kidding me?
And last but not least, the most interesting and least used trick that you can do with a dispenser is feeding ammo through walls. For some reason, a lot of walls in TF2 maps are thin enough for just the ammo dispensing part to pass through. This can sometimes come in handy for certain maps where keeping heavy or pyro's ammo refilled is vital to holding ground, but sometimes it's dangerous to put the dispenser out in the exposed area where they tend to stand. Unfortunately, you can't get health from a dispenser through these thin walls, but sometimes having a constant stream of ammunition can be the difference between an enemy going down or not. You know, It's a hard knock life out there for the support classes of the world, so building these little vending machines is sometimes all it takes to save your life, the lives of your teammates, and take a little bit of pressure off of those brave medics who have 11 other people to heal at once. And even if you're not playing engineer, remember, leave that metal pack there if you absolutely don't need it, because in 20 seconds, that little gesture could become you not burning to death to a random crit flare from across the map. I hope this video taught you something about the lonely, underrated building that we call dispensers. Happy pooting, boys, and I will talk to you nieces and nephews next time. Bye-bye.